stories are Mutants and Masterminds actual play here on Weave the Tale. I am Pope, your humble editor, as we get into our next issue. We have two of our team here today, and enough of me jabbering. Let's meet them and see what they've been up to, see what their characters have been up to. So, first up, Nino, how are you, friend? And what has Lawin been up to?
Hey everyone, my name is Nino. I use he and pronouns as just my character, Lawin, the veteran superhero from an alternate dimension. And Lawin has been, I believe he's been prepping and getting ready to go on that rigged heist to try to figure out who is behind the attempted thefts of certain key books in a someone's library. I don't know why his name escaped.
That's because he trucks with demons. John Martin is a hard person to pin down, and even with the assumed name, seems to slip people's minds. Someone who doesn't slip people's minds is Mr. Smith. How you doing, my friend, and what has Mr. Universe been up to?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing fine. I am Mr. Smith. You can find me on the Twitterverse and whatnot. Mr. Universe has been, well, Bastian has been, I don't want to say wrestling per se, but having some in-depth conversations with Mr. Universe, as the last episode showed a dichotomy somewhere in Bastian's mind where the order of the universe took over, letting Bastian sort of wrestle with what's been going on. As for this heist,
intriguing.
as for this heist, Bastian's a little nervous. He's not quite sure what's going to happen, but he trusts Lawin, more or less.
Well, on the element of trust, let's get to the comic. Quick few sort of recap panels considering where we are in the story. So, this is Paradise City. This is a oceanside town in the American South. Beautiful beach. Rather, peaceful but urban. But nothing goes easy, especially if you're not from around these parts. Things are a bit chaotic. And there's a lot of just magic in the air. And it has a way of getting in you, making things go a little off. Whether you are friend or foe. And we have had break-in not too long ago. And the antiquarian bookstore, owned and operated by a former supervillain, the Despoiler, now known as John Martin. But what they were taking is not entirely known. There's a handful of books whose provenances could be malevolent, useful, useless, depending on whose hands they got into. And as our heroes were trying to dig down and get some answers to this mystery, well, chaos ensued as they were drawn into the mad city drawn into some sort of multi-dimensional web of intrigue and power grabs. They survived their dalliance with the Nightmare Realm and managed, with a little help from the Hell Warden, Arthur Addison, to get back home. And they had a little road trip all the way up to the Great Lakes to deposit Dr. No One, get a small bounty, take a vacation. And while some of the team decided to linger there, get some insights into their past, their present, Mr. Universe, Lawin, made their way back to paradise and decided to pick up where the team had left off, trying to find some answers, trying to find who really is responsible for possibly not just this theft, but much more. And as we turn the page, we find ourselves in familiar confines. We are at the epic See Sky Rise. And at the top of that skyscraper is the base of operations for our heroes. And Lawin, what are you up to, friend?
So Lawin is sort of just getting ready for his, for the theft. He's prepared his disguise and a very nondescript-ish bodysuit armor, black, not a whole lot in the way of personal identification marks. And he's sort of just going over his backstory and how he's going to be approaching the theft, like the role that the organizers assigned him. And then, and he's sort of just going to wait until the call time to action.
So we probably see Lawin getting suited up, but also near the comms room, there is an email left open. And it's from the fixers for this little op. And it notes, so, you'll get your shot at the property that you wish to liberate. The team is to meet at Missile Ironworks over at the waterfront at 10 p.m. More details will be filled in, the game plan will be codified, and then the assault on the antiquarian bookstore will start promptly at 11:30 p.m. Should things go well enough, everyone should be able to get their prizes and extract before midnight. Keep in mind of your time. Should midnight happen, it is likely additional security options will be activated. Best of luck. Mr. Universe, what are you up to?
Following Lawin around as much as he can.
Okay, I wanted to kind of like how do these panels look? Like, describe to me what we're looking at.
So, I mean, so Lawin is a pretty stealthy individual, can kind of get around without too much of a hassle, and so there are panels not seen where Bastion is looking for him, and then every now and again, Lawin will be doing a thing, and in the background is just Mr. Universe sort of standing there watching, not being sneaky about it, just sort of watching, and like if Lawin sort of turns, he waves. And there's just random panels of this throughout Lawin's day or week where there's just a Bastion just standing in the background, having a coffee, carrying another cup of coffee, just smiling and waving at him. You know, just, honestly, just being Bastion, kind of being dumb.
I'm loving these panels. I can just picture like Mr. Universe there with. We can see the passage of time by which coffee mug he's on, as there's just different mugs, and then get this beautiful, well rendered panel of all these coffee mugs just sitting there in the sink.
I mean, one panel, it's, you know, Bastion sort of leaning against the wall, looking at him. And then another panel, like Lawin's doing something particularly like interesting or Lawin-y, and Bastion is kind of staring in amazement, trying to understand how this person works. But yes, he's you could almost say he's being a bit of a puppy dog. Almost.
Now, we've seen a lot of, in these panels, Lawin just going about his business, but those long-term readers know that Lawin's senses go beyond the scope of normal humanity. So, Lawin knows Mr. Universe's presence in all these moments. So, we've gotten sort of the background perspective view kind of from Mr. Universe. Lawin, what sort of, how does this kind of look from Lawin's perspective?
So I feel like Lawin I wouldn't necessarily say that he is used to it, but he's kind of familiar with it, having been a father to a an aspiring superhero. But he hasn't really said anything because the way he sort of teaches is that is sort of very Eastern style, and that he'll show you something, and then or why he does something or how he does something, but he doesn't tell you why he does it. He expects you to sort of figure out why he's doing something in a certain way, and the philosophy behind that is if you can't figure out why it's done that way, then it wasn't meant for you to learn in that sense. So he's being very patient. Tended to spend a lot of time coaching Titanica before she left, because I would say that she sought him out in sort of developing her own personal fighting style. But in essence, Lawin is just used to moving around fairly silently and with a lot of purpose behind every move.
So, with these panel shots, with this, I want to say like 3-page spread of these quiet panels of just this day going forward and day turning into evening. We see a very familiar clock on the wall. And it's 9 p.m. Pretty much go time, even for someone as fast as Lawin. Get the groundwork, be there on time, get an idea of where these people are coming from. So describe to us what's going on, what y'all doing.
So I think Lawin will go ahead of schedule, and he'd probably take Mr. Universe with him, and he would probably do the kind of thing that Superman, I guess, would do, and that he is well away from the site, and staring at it. I guess not exactly from space, but from far enough that it's very unlikely that anyone would notice or see him, especially given the time of night. And I guess he's going to use this time to coach or teach Mr. Universe in some of his methods.
Lawin, I'm not sure what's gonna work. I just want you to know this. Having some sort of introspective moments recently, and things are a little it's a changing world. We all got to adapt. We all got to deal with things as they come. I just want you to be aware that my reliability was originally down here, and it's going to be a little bit lower. Just so you know.
Bastian, having observed you for these past several months, you've got a very unquiet soul.
That is really deep, and I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
It's that you're not exactly decisive. You're still at that stage where you haven't really figured out who you want to be, let alone...
Man, you've hit the nail. I feel attacked. I feel very... You see, you were there when it all happened. I was just college, learning some maths. And then next thing you know, I can create a gravity well. It's daunting. But, it is what it is, I guess.
It is. That's where you and I differ, in that I trained, or had to train myself, to be able to convert my internal energy into electric energy. But these things sort of just happen. Regardless of your feelings or misgivings about it, you need to, in my opinion, find a way to take control of it and still make it Otherwise, you won't really know inner peace.
So I guess that's where. I guess that's kind of why I wanted to give you fair warning. I'm trying to find that. I'm trying to make amends with this thing that I've got, and we're coming to some agreements. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're ready to just sort of work with me yet. So, I mean, as per usual, you'll probably be pulling a lot more of the weight today. So, yeah. But I want to let you know, I appreciate everything you do. You are a consummate professional. I think you're a little squirrely sometimes, but you know, that's okay. Everyone's got their thing. Everyone's got their secrets going on. It's perfectly fine. I'm cool with that. You've done right by me. Done right by all of us. Can't complain.
Oh, you don't know that for certain. And he has a sort of sly grin on his face.
Touche. Way to be creepy. Thank you.
And at that exchange, you see, well, Lawin, you see, Mr. Universe Seymour feel movement far down below at the meeting point. There's a number of vehicles pull up. A few dark Ford Transit vans. A black Rolls-Royce Phantom. As people start filing out. There's a bit of a complication that you notice. Like, most of these guys are probably just local muscle, local mooks. Folks that you probably know of but haven't tangled with personally. However, there is one distinctive figure standing amongst the rest that you have tangled with in the past. And it's an old nemesis for the team. One more of Jet's past. And that's the Dream Thief. He's sitting down there with all the rest. A sort of mix between Mirror Master and Baron Mordo, to give both you and all of our readers and listeners sort of insight into who Dream Thief is. And he definitely knows the two of you. So what do you do?
So Lawin's sort of fixing on his mask. It's a very noir type mask, like a Spider-Man noir mask, where it's like, you know, full faced, got goggles over the eyes that are you know, very opaque, or at least like one-way mirror like. And okay, well, there's the first complication we haven't quite solved for or prepared for. So
you kid, you're prepared for everything, Lawin. Come on now.
No. I'm not that type of a. I don't operate on that level. I mostly just go with the flow and do what I feel is best.
As Bastian
That
sort
way.
of says that, he pulls out his hand, sort of comes out as a fedora just sort of forms as he places it over his head, causing the shadow to sort of drop down along his face.
All right. Well, so I don't think he, like Lawin, planned on bringing anyone with him. He had been pretty secretive about this robbery thing. It's just that eventually, given Mr. Universe's presence over the past few days and being observed the entire time, he kind of sort of just had to let him in on it. So I think the idea or the plan that Lawin had was that Mr. Universe would sort of try to trail and follow the merchandise, or whoever has the merchandise, back to whatever headquarters and basically force the confrontation there. Because the likelihood is that the orchestrators of this theft would be there and identifiable. So,
Fair enough.
so I guess the thing that Lawin is going to think about is what's this guy's powers like? What are they like? Does he know? Because he's trying to wonder if his cover is going to be blown immediately once he's there, regardless of his disguise.
Go ahead and, to sort of jog your memory, give me an intellect test. $20. Okay. Again, Dream Thief is a mystic, but with a bent towards, well, petty theft for the most part. His powers include shadow manipulation, teleportation. He's also experienced with wards, and if he concentrates real hard, limited mind control and telepathy. But when he does so, you fought him before, he has to stand stock still in order to intrude upon someone's mind. But when he does, it gets very much that sort of jet power of wills, that there's a meeting of the minds. But he also has a nasty habit of, when engaging in that, using that mental connection to bring his physical form into the person's own sort of dream realm, and using that as another way to run away. A very evasive, but not necessarily overly strong villain. But he also has a nasty habit of having mystical gadgets. Things that you don't necessarily prepare for, because almost every single time they're different.
What do you need me to do, Lawin?
Well, I think it's safe to say that you need to stay well out of their perception. But this is where you're going to start needing to use your powers in a bit of a more finesse kind of way.
finesse. I got you. Easy. Don't worry.
Sure. It's just that, Dream Thief's powers and abilities are a little bit on the unpredictable side. And
Hey, man.
he's able
I can do
to
unpredictable.
teleport.
Well. Oh. Fair. Good to know.
It's, I believe you're going to need to open up your senses and more than just observe and trail using your sight. You need to start being able to trail energy as well.
Okay. I see what you're laying down.
All right. So make sure you memorize the energy signatures of everybody down there and be able to follow it.
All right. So keep distance, finesse, track energy, memorize. Got it.
Lawin looks like he's about to say something about the particular order of those things because, it's not exactly the right order of operations, but he doesn't really want to shake the kid's confidence anymore. So, all right. So I'm going to go down there and
Do me a favor. Don't get caught. Don't get kidnapped. Don't die. And good luck.
right on. And with that, he's going to move down to the rendezvous point, but he's going to do so far away enough that he can walk to it without being seen.
You touch down, and as you're walking up, one more vehicle pulls in. A large Escalade rolls up, and you just have this large gathering of individuals, far larger than the group of Doxy's Midnight Runners that originally made the run on the bookstore. You walk up, and you can start hearing conversations. You distinctly hear Dream Thief's not in charge. He's a specialist that has been brought on to this job. As you walk up, oh good, I'm just about to do the brief. Black clad figure, well muscled. Almost everybody here except for Dream Thief is masked. Different varieties. Some very low rent using, a couple of bandanas, while others have balaclavas, and the one in charge has something more akin to what supers use, a high-end flexible polycarbonate mask that you can just hear with your senses. There's a distinctive sort of high-pitched whine of circuitry. It's most likely incorporated into the mask, and maybe some of the other fabric of the clothing. So, job should go like this. Using the vans We roll up on the location. Everyone stays in the van except for Dream Thief. You do what you've been brought on here to do. Open that place up. Keep the security from going off. Once we get the all clear, everyone quickly files out of the vans. We make it easy using the knocker, knock in the side door, file in. Once we get that lobby secure, Dream Thief comes in, we deploy the gas for whatever extra surprises might be inside. Keep masked. And then, once the place is properly gassed, then you can go about grabbing your targets. We're on the clock on this one. We only have 30 minutes. Likelihood of somebody like this guy having timed security is high. So no lollygagging. Are we clear? And nearly everyone just sort of like either stands stock still or nods their head. Any other questions or concerns, or can we get this party started? Dream Thief chimes in. Now, I might run into a few difficulties in getting the wards completely shut off. This would have been nice to know ahead of time. I understand that, it's just, given the phase of the moon, not everything might go as smoothly as we originally planned. But I should be able to fix it. I've got a few tricks up my sleeve. It was just a very deep inhale from the leader of this operation. All right, if we have to improvise, we'll improvise. But this should go quickly. Anything else? No? Folks pile into the vans. And then you head off to a very familiar locale. We turn the page, and we're in the parking lot. We see a panel overhead from Bastian's point of view looking down.
If I may.
Go ahead.
Just a little backtracking. As Lawin leaves Bastion on the hill, the confidence that Bastion showed marginally while he was there completely disappears, and he slumps. He goes, okay. All right. Finesse, sense energy, memorize, stay far away. Okay, I got this. And he goes to leap, to fly, and falls flat on the ground. And he's like, come on, now is not the time. Okay, all right, I can do this. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Lawin's in a ton of danger. No pressure. He'll be all right. He tries again, and again falls flat on his face. And in a very animated, just sort of punching at the air, it's like, come on. All right, I get it. Haven't had a chance to talk. Trying to, make nice with Lawin. He and I have not. Anyway, I need to focus. And shifting the panel to the same scene, but there are now two bastions. One is sort of floating, perfectly manicured attire, suit, tie, toes pointed to the ground, just sort of that hovering stance, looking down on Bastion. You agreed to let me work in times like these. I know, I get it. You're better at this. I need the experience so we can work together. No, Bastion. That is not how this is supposed to work. You do not have the attention span to support Lawin. Step aside and let professionals do what we need to do. Listen, I can be clean cut. I can do this. No, Bastion, you cannot. You are too emotional. Now, do you seek to support Lawin or allow him to die? The choice is yours. Okay, that's a bit ultimatum-like. Damn it, fine. But I could do this. Oh, can you now? Can you withstand all of the things the universe has to say? And for in the real world as it is, as it were, all of the senses and things that can be felt in the universe descend upon Bastion's mind as he can feel, see, hear the universe, and he whimpers and sort of cries out, trying to keep it quiet, crumples to the ground, grabbing at his head. That's right, Bastion. You cannot handle this. Now step aside. And with that, Bastion just kind of goes unconscious, and the Mr. Universe then floats up and takes this very sort of imposing stance in the air as he rises, adjusting his senses to see who's down in this merry band of rogues that Lawin has found himself in, taking in all of the information as Lawin had requested.
And we definitely see that. But as a little editor's note, in that moment where Bastian felt everything, when he whimpered, before he went away, there was a very familiar playing card that was in his left hand. Something or someone still has an interest in Bastian B. Bucks and him being in control, but they haven't played their hand yet. So we descend upon the bookstore. Lawin, you can see from one of the windows of the panel van, along with all these mercenaries, on a dim, waning crescent moon of a night. The dream thief sneaks forward in the dark. He gets up to the door. And then Mr. Universe feels something. As the dream thief produces a cage. It is immensely heavy, and yet the dream thief cradles it like it was made out of lead foil, as though it was so brittle. But Mr. Universe, you feel the weight of this object. Its true weight. and it is immense. Heavier than both the vehicles combined. As he sets it down right up against the wall and begins incanting. And I'll say, Morene, Martinat. Oh. And there is this flash of red across the door, across the building, as we see all these runes light up. We see the first layer of this place's defenses. And then that glowing red begins to fade. And that glow starts to flow into the cage like smoke, billowing more and more. And then we just see Dream Thief ever so carefully poke the wall. He then slips over to the door, just placing his hands on it, feeling closely, and then looks over the shoulder, gesturing the all clear. Quickly, mercenaries pile out. Lawin, you're there along with them. From the opposite team, the team you didn't ride with, SWAT-style door knocker is produced by two men. And they go up and, in a very professional manner, quickly take the door off its hinges, bashing down the door. More of the men pour in and quickly produce some sort of high-end gas grenade as they begin tossing them into the building. There's these hisses. And it's not just the hiss of the gas. Something else is in that bookstore. And then something comes barreling out. Now, Lawin, you had talked with Martin about lessening the security, allowing this to go smoothly. And by the looks of things, most stuff has been turned off, but apparently this gas irritated something. Something that should by all means have been asleep. But whatever they did woke it up. And this critter, for lack of a better term, all claws, 8 arms, but not insectoid, mammalian, at least in appearance. Purple fur, 8 eyes, but the head of some sort of lion comes barreling out, howling and snarling. You hear the screams of some of the men. What do you do?
So, Lawin is definitely not going to tangle with that one. He was here with the intention of getting the decoy stuff and then getting out. So, yeah, without making it look obvious, he's probably just going to try to dive past the Guardian and head towards where Martin told him the items would be.
All right. We know how fast you are, but let's see if you are agile enough to squeeze past both these mercs and the beast. Give me an acrobatics check. 27. With difficulty. And it's not the men that's difficult, but this beast. As it moves in an unnatural fashion, limbs twisting around its body, lashing out to anything within reach. As you get this panel, a claw coming just 2 inches away from connecting with Lawin as he rushes past and into this gas-filled building. It's disorienting. Gas gets a little bit to your senses. Give me a fortitude check, please. 23. It burns, but you are able to struggle past with some effort. But you do not want to stay long here. There's something that memory triggers. In one of your passes, one of the times before you came to this plane, this world, you tangled with a group that had, in gas form, developed something that violently disrupted Meta's powers. This was not something that they were counting on. And so you are on the clock, because the more powerful you are, the harder this gas hits. So no wonder that thing outside is pissed. But you get to the books. What do you do?
He is going to scan for the books that he was after.
You're able to find them. It's not hard. They're precisely in the places John said he would leave them. And you're able to quickly gather them. But joining with the screams from outside is now the sound of gunshots. Mr. Universe, what do you do?
Is there a radio connection between Lawin and Universe?
Yeah, I think you guys have comms, yeah. Though you don't know necessarily how well they're going to work given the distance and that building.
Also fair. So, at the very least, Universe will, over the comms, Lawin, is support required.
Lawin's just going to pause for a moment. No, I'm fine right now. I'm just going to let that beast winnow their numbers a bit.
The device that Dream Thief brought with them, it is interesting.
All right, well, maybe we can snatch it later.
Very well. I will keep an eye up here.
And Mr. Universe keeps an eye. Lawin.
So Lawin's going to look around. Is there anything of interest to Lawin's personal stakes around here? Anything related to his son, maybe, or the what was the name of that NPC again? It's the
Nightingale?
No, Stone's daughter? That's right.
Sister.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me an investigation check. At 20. For a total of 32. Well, yes. There are a few items and tomes that would pique Lawin's interest. There's a book on noted dimensional entities. So those that are dimensional and extra dimensional, things that, slip between places, sort of like yourself. And possibly of interest to Stone's sister, given everything that you've seen thus far. There's also, just high on one of the shelves, just barely at the edge of your sight, as the gas continues to fill this place, there's a wand that you remember from before you started your journey between dimensions. If it's the same thing, it carries one hell of a punch.
Okay. Lawin will take both of those things, plus a number of random items as well, with the idea that he didn't want to make it look like it was he was specifically targeting things.
So you got your smash and grab. Mr. Universe, you observe this beast tearing through with savagery and horrific violence a number of these mercs as they pull guns, and bullets seem to do very little except piss this thing off even more. And you see Dream Thief in that moment move fast, very fast, into the building. For our audience, you see a panel of Dream Thief just widening this Cheshire grin. It seems our mercenary for hire had his own plans. And slips in as Lawin, you're trying to slip out. Mr. Universe, what are you going to do?
Just over the comms again. Lawin, Dream Thief has other plans. Be wary.
Okay. And does Lawin see Dream Thief coming in?
That is an excellent question. Give me a perception test. 18, no. Smoke's too dense. Dream Thief is known for being able to blend in. So you do not have eyes on him. What do you do?
The universe, can you pinpoint my location and Dream Thief's location and tell me where he is?
Northeast of you. About 100 feet or so. 150. Moving quickly, however.
Lawin's going to guesstimate and head in that direction and try to intercept Dream Thief.
It's not hard. It's not far. And Lawin is incredibly fast. Give me another fortitude test, given that you've been in place with this gas for a bit. 22. You're not succumbing yet, but this stuff sucks. As you get to Dream Thief, who is just taking books and through the shadow of the cloak he wears is just like smashing, grabbing this place, throwing as much knowledge as he can in grabbing whatever he can find.
I think it's that point that Lawin is going to try to sucker punch him with a flying knee to the back of his head.
Give me an attack roll. $21. Just as the knee is going to connect, this is a familiar moment, as normally you're fast enough to catch him off guard, but occasionally there are moments where he, for some reason, just has a split-second reaction to get to just... He's still hurt as he smashed his face into a bookshelf, as opposed to getting smashed by your flying knee. Like, he had a sort of A or B decision that the cosmos or magic gave him, and he chose the lesser painful one of the two. But you rush past, and you are now definitely engaged with Dream Thief, who is most certainly aware of you now. What do you do?
Oh yeah, no, we're taking this guy out, and Lawin is going to look around and see if there are any traps that Martin might have tipped him off to. Basically, he's just going to try to maneuver him into one of them.
For this, do you want to maneuver him physically, or do you want to trick him?
I'm gonna. Lawin's gonna try to beat him down into. So Lawin's going to attack, but he's going to try to play a little bit of chess, in that he's going to punch and kick him essentially to confuse him enough that he would fall or trip into one of the traps.
Okay. I need 2 checks then. First, I need you to give me an athletics test and then a deception. Athletics, okay. Deception. All right. You are definitely engaging him and pushing him back, but he has to have something new on him. You are connecting, but you're not really feeling flesh. You're feeling cold, something ephemeral in places where there should be, muscle and bone, as your fists are driving back, occasionally connecting, but he is not retreating the way you're accustomed to. He is more twisting about, but he is definitely unaware of this clay jar that is behind him that probably has something very nasty in it. Mr. Universe, you see outside, you perceive not only the conflict through the elements of your powers between Lawin and the shifting, phasing Dream Thief, but as the mercs are falling to this beast, the individual in charge has rushed into one of the vans, comes back out, and fires this energy pulse that impacts the creature, and immediately it goes down like a ton of bricks. It's still breathing, it's still alive, but it is assuredly incapacitated. And he now, with purpose and speed, is making his way into the building. What do you do?
Is the universe able to determine what kind of energy this was at all?
Go ahead and give me a perception test. 28. It was a conglomeration of things.
Okay.
Like, you're getting elements of some sort of frequency burst combined with a large electrical discharge, but it wasn't going from the gun to the creature. It was coming from the creature and back into the gun, almost like this device drained the creature.
Interesting. All right. Universe will lower his altitude a bit, but keep an eye on the leader. They clearly have a handle on this particular situation, and are likely going for whatever Lawin wanted Universe to track.
You keep your
But he's still not getting
senses-
directly involved.
Yeah, you keep your senses about you and focus in on the mercenary leader. As we cut back inside to the conflict between Lawin and Dream Thief. Dream Thief goes, "Well, I was expecting some meddling, but I didn't necessarily expect you to be here. So, Lawin, starting to mess with the occult? I thought that was beneath you. I thought that was Jet's doing."
Yeah, Dream Thief. I've met you and countless other yous over the years, and you all have the same sad story and bad habit. And Lawin's gonna initiate another attack.
Go for it.
Yeah, we're gonna see if we can stun him this time.
That connects. And yeah, let's see if he can stay up. He using some form of, like, you punch and you immediately see some sort of light discharge from a gem on his left glove as the electricity courses through him, but then seems to not have the effect that you were expecting, as this glove just, that gem pops. But fist meet flesh that time, and while he's not knocked silly, he's definitely knocked back. And he is one step closer to that trap. Well, you may have met a lot of me, but you haven't met all the things I've got. As he tries to unleash his newest toy upon you. Give me a dodge test. 19. You just, and I mean just, get out of the way of what looks like a small, almost like a hacky sack like ball inscribed with a number of mystical symbols. As it zooms past you and then impacts upon the wooden floor in this gas-filled building. It erupts with a number of black thorned vines and wrecks both the ground, the books, the shelves, launches up and tears into the very ceiling with an unnatural verve and violence. What do you do?
He's going to use that opening to deliver one last punch to force him into range of the trap.
All right, let's see it. .22. You connect, and yeah, you're just at the edge of that trap. And it's not the damage you deal, but the distance you're able to push him as his foot connects with that clay pot. And it shatters. And then all of these little green pixies barrel out of this clay pot. Now, pixies, when we usually think about them, are just small, fey creatures, like dragonfly wings or butterfly wings. They're incredibly pleasant, joyous creatures in most forms of fiction. But pixies, for reals, are terrifying beasts. They are small, vicious, stronger than a man on average for their size. And instead of having, eyes, the head is pretty much just a mouth, filled with rows of razor-sharp teeth. The despoiler does not care about casualties, and this is his shop. And these pixies tear into Dream Thief. It is hard to watch as fabric, flesh, viscera are being removed from Dream Thief as he screams before, as one of his fingertips is just gnawed clean off. He smashes something in his fist and bamps out. Meanwhile, there's movement in the building. Our merc has improvised, taken one of the totes from behind the desk, and in that conflict has quickly made his way purposefully around the building, grabbing particular items. And just as Dream Thief makes his exit, he walks out of the building. Most of the other mercs have either panicked or scattered. They're not on task, but this man is. And you can hear in the distance, especially you, Mr. Universe, from your vantage point, as the sirens echo off buildings. Even with all the precautions, somebody, because gunfire always gets a call in Paradise City. Cops are on their way. What do you do?
Again to Lawin. The target items have been acquired. most of the crew has scattered. The police are on the way. You may want to make your exit.
Well, I was the one who grabbed the items. Did Lawin see the
There
other
are
guy
other
come
items.
You did not see him.
in? Okay.
You grabbed something,
Right.
but there are apparently other items on this list. The
All right.
leader has acquired them.
All right. Lawin is just going to bail out of there and head to the van that was supposed to cover his exit or help him make an exit.
You head to the van, and you see in the driver's seat is the mercenary leader, as he is obviously switched vans. You can see as you pile in, and he is already pulling out Y, as in the altercation, multiple guns have popped 2 of the tires in the other van, as he just sort of looks up, gives a quiet acknowledgement, doesn't even say a word, as you guys are making your way out.
Universe will keep an eye on the beastie to see if it begins moving at all, or if it is thoroughly incapacitated.
Thoroughly incapacitated.
Perfect.
And I think... Go ahead.
Shifting, using his abilities to shift his radio signal to that of the emergency bandwidth, and across the first responders' radios. Be warned, there is a large, unnatural creature. It is incapacitated. And with that, Universe will catch up with Lawin.
And we have this beautiful shot as responders are kind of like, what? But they're pulling up. Different mercs all scattering about the waterfront. And this van driving away with Mr. Universe observing its direction. It is headed to a place not necessarily known to the common rank and file citizen of Paradise City. But for those in the know, it is a landmark. And that is the Oath Hotel. But before we get there, we're going to take a break, folks. See you soon. welcome back to Paradise City Stories, our Mutants and Masterminds actual play here on Weave the Tale. What we last saw on the page was Lawin and this mercenary leader, whose identity is yet to be known, driving off through the midnight streets of the city towards the Oath Hotel. The Oath, for those in the know, is a neutral ground hospital. Doesn't matter if you're on the right or wrong side of the law. If you need to get patched up, you go to the Oath. And there is no violence allowed. You leave your grudges at the door. While they may not have, a lot of superpowers at the Oath, they have means of enforcement. Significant means. And so, we see this van pull up around back of the hotel to the service entrance. What are you all doing?
So, Lawin is still trying to keep his cover. He's also trying to size up the leader of the group because he has a certain gravitas about him that feels like Lawin needs to be careful in how he manages him. And actually, I think I have an advantage that I can use.
Oh. Let's hear about
it's
it.
So it's called assessment. And you're able to quickly size up an opponent's combat capabilities. Choose a target you can accurately perceive, and have the GM make a secret insight check for me. Posed by the target's deception check.
Okay. Well, let's do that. So, your insight versus their deception. All right. Well, for secret stuff, it just so happens I have my dice handy. So we'll do this without Roll20's help. Okay.
Any good TTS always has dice handy.
You're used to getting a read on people. You know people. You have been through multiple dimensions and have faced numerous foes. You can't get a beat on this guy. Like, there's just... Is it the outfit? It might be the gas residuals, but you're taking a look at him and you're just not sure.
As for Universe, he is keeping his distance as originally instructed, but we'll take a good scan of the Oath upon their arrival to see if there's anything out of place.
You take a look at the Oath. Nothing necessarily seems off from the times that you've passed by it, but it might just be the sirens in the background. It might just be how dark the night is. But while nothing's off, you just have this feeling that something may go wrong. It hasn't happened yet.
Universe will take a perch, so to speak, on the rooftop, in case access to the building is required.
Yeah, you touch down on the roof of the Oath. It's surprisingly clean, well maintained. Like, normally, roofs don't see a lot of love cleaning. It's an exterior of a building, usually a less than accessible place, but this one's very well maintained. Exceptionally so.
Like, just a slight correction. Mr. Universe doesn't touch down. He always maintains that floating stance.
Well, you just hover above, and it's hard not to notice just how well maintained it is up here. The van fully stops, and our mystery figure puts the van fully in park, grabs up the tote that he filled, and for the first time looks back to you, Lawin. This is where we part ways. You're welcome to come into the Oath and get looked at, lay low for a bit, but our business is done. As he heads out of the van.
Lawin is going to exit the van, and so Lawin's basically got two satchels with him. One is the items that he pilfered for the mission, and then the other is the items that he sort of picked up along the way. And I think he's going to casually alert Mr. Universe to one of the bags, the bag that he took for future study, and tuck it away, or put it on top of the van, and signal Mr. Universe to try to come in and take it. But he's going to go in, he's going to follow the leader, and he's just going to say, well, I think I'll come in and, get a little treatment. And it seems like a good networking opportunity.
Just don't push anyone's buttons. They're twitchy here.
No, I get it.
And the two of you enter the back. Mr. Universe, do you descend down immediately and grab the bag, or do you take your time, just kind of leave it there?
He will position himself to keep an eye on the top of where the satchel is, but he will not immediately go to grab it.
Okay. And we see the interior of the Oath Hotel. The main floor, which this is, sort of harkens back to glory days of Paradise City. Has that Art Deco exterior, marble floors. This place was made with money. A lot of hard labor from days of the city's glorious past. But unlike normal service entrances that usually, again, there's not much fuss over. This enters almost like into a secondary lobby. There is a check-in desk as sorts, sort of part, triage, and one part, you know, just for those who want to lay low for a bit. There are rooms available. And there is a stout, good-looking, red-headed woman, well-dressed, behind the desk. Evening. How can we help you? And our mercenary fellow just leans in. I'm here visiting a friend. Room 407. Okay. Let me call up and see if we can get you buzzed in. But before I do, what services are you in need of? As she leans over and looks at Lawin.
Just a private room to wind down for a bit. One night.
Certainly. And you hear a distinct, security buzzer go off, and one of the doors leading to two of the hallways, one of the two of the halls in this room, opens up. Do you head on down?
Yes.
Walking down these corridors. Well, when you walk past, and there is a series of rooms. They're sort of set up like half hospital, half hotel, as they have those. Anyone who's been in an American hospital sees those little flags at the top of the doors that signify occupied or in medical need or open. If they're all flat and doors usually cocked ajar, you can go in. And it's not too far, 6 rooms down, you find an empty room.
All right. He's just going to study the numbers a little bit and try to see if he can guesstimate where room 407 is.
Rooms are all in the 100s, this being the main floor. So, no, you're in the hundreds, so probably 3 floors above you in that case is 407.
Subtly, Lawin is just going to flex his energy a bit, hoping that Mr. Universe will see or be able to perceive him and maybe take note that this is an area of particular interest.
You are bright enough to be seen. I'm not going to have either of you roll. That makes perfect sense. So yeah, you definitely pick up on Lawin, even through this structure of marble, steel, and wire. You know when he's flaring up.
Fair. During this relatively quiet moment, Universe will float downwards, keeping himself between windows, so as not necessarily to be seen. And about halfway, the satchel will then sort of float along an interception path to Universe, as he will pick up the satchel and return to his position back on the roof.
Yes, a few moments later, Lawin, sitting in that room, you can still hear that door opens. Distinctive boots echoes that you've heard just recently walking past, um, down past your hallway, through another corridor, and then fall silent. What do you do?
Um, I think Lawin is just going to freshen up, make sure his disguise is in place. Because he's probably going to need to start walking around without his mask on. So, I guess the paddles will see Lawin graying up his hair a bit more and putting on a fake eye patch. He's going to go for the really bad impression of Nick Fury for this look.
Bad, but it's an homage. We have a former Nick Fury artist working on this particular issue, so it's a good homage. As Patch gets settled, and everything's put in place, there's the very distinctive sound of a freight elevator moving. Again, once you hear one, you know it, and that's the sort of elevators that the Oath has. You never know when you have somebody who's may just be 5'10", but weighs 600 pounds. These things happen in Paradise City. So, with your disguise all set, and definitely someone of interest in play, what does Lawin do?
So did the leader take Lawin's other satchel, like the items that,
No.
or is he plan? So Lawin's still responsible for delivering those goods.
Yes.
Okay, and Lawin is going to make good on that and head for the exchange, get the payoff.
Okay. The exchange is in a different
Universe.
part of the hotel. So we'll get to that. Mr. Universe.
Sorry. Universe will ping Lawin. He'll keep a low sort of subvocal tone, but did the leader have the package?
Yes.
Very well.
So Lawin makes his way to the drop. Drop's at a different point in the hotel. It's not room 407. It is in the third floor lounge. It is not hard to get to. As you get there, place is relatively quiet, but there are a number of figures. Well-dressed bartender. Man's behind the bar. There are a number of hotel-style, like Art Deco chairs, tables, and a number of well-dressed, well-to-do individuals sitting amongst them. Maybe in total, as you scan the room, 7 people aside from the bartender are here. As you come in carrying a large package, a black gloved hand just kind of raises to get your attention. As you walk towards, you see a surprising figure, one you weren't necessarily expecting. It's not Becca Stone. This glove and hand belongs to Silas Mogul Meisner. Ah, it is delightful to have at least someone competent. Come. Sit, have a drink.
Lawin will do so.
Well, given the sirens and what I can... He takes a long, slow grin. Here, you've got part of my order, but not all of it. But for at least some competence, you will be compensated. May I see the items?
Yeah. And Lawin is going to reach into the satchel and pull the books out and slide them over.
Oh, so this is all that was managed to be grabbed. Shame. But it's a place to start. Pats the books. And then reaches down to an attaché case and pulls out a small leather bag and just... That should cover your trouble. And considering that you didn't get pinched, unlike the majority of them, should be more than fine to either enjoy this rat-infested hellhole of a city, or go and retire to someplace pleasant.
Lawin is going to check the leather bag.
It is filled with diamonds.
Ah. This will probably do.
Good.
Well, hang on. I think Lawin is actually going to take one out and study it, see whether or not it's if it's an actual diamond or if it's just cubic zirconium.
Okay. Sure, let's take a look. Give me an investigation check. 31. Lawin knows his diamonds. And these are legit. These are legit diamonds. High quality. Not necessarily fabricated, but because of Lawin's travels and probably having maybe done this exact same gig some time ago, or something like it, you can tell that these diamonds aren't necessarily from this dimension.
Well, I'd see that there are folks out there who conduct their business in reputable fashion. I think it's that point that Lawin is probably going to signal Mr. Universe to get ready to crash the party, so to speak. So Lawin is just going to nod over at the books, and at Silas is like, say, uh, are we doing anything interesting with that I'm going to have to be worried about? Maybe need to move to a less of a hot zone for my own safety.
Well, again, I'm not going to do something too untoward, especially with getting so little of what I actually wanted. No, this is just for upcoming project for a new series. We're still hiring talent if you're interested.
I may, but I have standards.
Oh, standards. Well, if you ever actually want to, do something a bit more interesting than theft, here's my card. Just slides it over. Very nice card.
Okay. He's going to just check out the card.
It is high-end, high-density, multi-dimensional woven fabric that is paper-like, because the mogul does not have subtlety anywhere in his body, possibly not even in his molecules. As it just says mogul, mover, shaker, magic maker, and then standard like number, like Twitter handle, and then something in some sort of multi-dimensional language script at the very bottom that is completely indiscernible. So yeah, you can contact me on any of these and we can work something out.
Fair enough.
It's just then that you're seemingly wrapping up business that mercenary leader shows up. Not even going to make you make a check. He's got the bag. It's nowhere near as full as it was. Comes in, sits down. Pardon for being late. And just slides over the books. Somewhat acknowledges you. Well, considering how poorly this all went, I guess your tardiness can be tolerated. Takes a look at the books. Again, has that sort of mix between delighted and crestfallen. Stacks them with the others. Goes in the same attache case and produces another satchel to which the mercenary just takes. He doesn't even inspect it. Puts it in their pocket. Well, gentlemen, I would like to say it's been nice, but I tend not to lie. Have a good night, and I hope I never see the two of you again.
Well, it's mighty professional of you.
Reputation is all that matters. As he walks away.
So, I think Lawin is going to try to jog his memory a bit and see if he remembers Silas, or has come across his name or any of the information on the card.
Okay. Sure, jogging the memory. Let's just have a straight intellect check. 9. You don't get nothing. You just don't get much detail. Because the mogul is a known entity, not just here in Paradise City, but in other Paradise Cities. Like, this guy has reach. It's not quite known if he transits dimensions or that each Silas is aware of the others and they just work in concert. But this is someone who has a not quite legal media empire that spans multiple dimensions. That's what you can remember.
Okay. I suppose this is a gut check time for Lawin, because he needs to decide right now whether or not he made the right choice in liberating the books or furthering this guy's agenda, because this sounds like a guy that he's supposed to be thwarting along the way.
More than likely.
But the books aren't real. He's kind of wondering why he was so readily accepting of those items.
Give me an insight check.
29.
It's for that moment. The pieces begin to fall into place for Lawin. He was so accepting of the books. He was so easy in all of his dealings. Because he's not the one that placed the order. He's just a middleman. And he doesn't care. He's getting paid either way. And a second thing clicks. Reputation is everything. That's someone from Lawin's past. Maybe not this Lawin, but a Lawin. And by tone, by stance, and by the quickness in which he left, he made you. And whoever he is already getting away.
Okay. I think that's when Lawin is going to give chase on that person.
We turn the page, and we cut to outside with Mr. Universe. And you're able to, because of Lawin's earlier pulse, keep your eye on him. And you see him go from relaxing in the lounge to moving with purpose and speed quite readily. something's going off. But you also know the rules of the oath. You've got a decision to make. What do you do?
Can Universe tell where who Lawin's objective is, or what Lawin's objective is?
Give me a perception check.
Worst case, I'll just make a radio call. But
36. I've got good news and bad news. Good news. You pick him up. Whoever this individual is that Lawin's chasing after. But they pick you up. And I need you to give me a toughness test.
it'd be a pleasure.
29.
29.
More good news, bad news.
Hmm.
Good news. You are still floating. Good
I like this
news. You're still in control of your powers. Bad news. Mr. Universe is shoved to the back seat and Bastian's back at the fore.
Perfect. There's
some sort of energy pulse just smacks you through the wall.
That's perfect. Mr. Universe gets jolted. He was hovering above the building still. He gets jolted, and there's this immediate shift from this very well put together, kept outfit to just this barreling head over heels in midair, flailing and screaming in pain, before finally sort of catching himself, sort of cockeyed, head facing downward, just sort of like this, floating, as the fedora just falls off and just sort of, floats to the ground, so to speak. And Bastian just kind of looks. Lawin?
Yep.
Oh, good, you're still alive. We've got a problem. We've got a problem. I have a question. It's very simple. Where are we?
I think the more important question is the one I have for you.
Okay.
I've been made, and I'm trying to chase down the guy who made me. You were tracking him earlier.
Yep.
What happened?
I was tracking him earlier, and something happened. I don't know what. So, can we trade answers now?
Well, we were at the drop-off point. Dropped off the books. And this other guy did as well. But I'm guessing he knows something that I don't. So we need to figure that out.
Okay. All right. Does Bastian by chance remember the last place he saw, or where Universe last saw this guy?
Yeah, and you focus in because he was heading like straight towards the wall that you were hovering over. And like you can even sense Lawin as he's rushing like past, he's down. As you refocus, you focus on Lawin. You're trying to focus on the guy. And you see him for a split second. He's on the floor below, where Lawin is, and then that signature blinks. Like, goes from there, and then you're trying to refocus on it. And then it comes back in, and we turn the page. Lawin, I need 2 tests from you.
Okay.
First, I need a perception test.
Okay. We're using luck to reroll that one.
Okay. 24. You have a moment. Just a blink, but you know in a split second that he's behind you. And you know he's not alone.
In that same second, does Bastian realize where he appeared?
Yes. He's right behind
Bastian just yells out over the radio. Yeah, Bastian just yells out over the radio, "Behind you!" as he's racing to get there.
And with that warning, and with them being perceived, they blink again. But in that blinking, things occur. I need a will test from you, Lawin. 16. Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news.
Of
That's
course.
my favorite game.
Good news. Everyone's in one piece. That is very good. Lawin, you are in full control of your own body. That is very good. The bad news. Yourself, the mercenary that made you, and Becca Stone, carrying a bag full of occult goodies, are now outside of the oath, significantly outside of the oath, as you have been teleported to Paradise City Cemetery. And that, my friends, is where we're going to call it today. So, but before we truly call it, we're going to get 2 last panels.
Oh no.
Mr. Universe, go ahead and describe a panel.
So, Bastian, in the panic that has been his life for the last few weeks, doesn't realize that they have disappeared someplace else and just blasts into the oath through the wall where Lawin and the other 2 were, destroying the wall, entering into the oath itself, likely destroying whatever room they were in, and just comes to a stop. And his mind races with, did I pick the wrong floor? Is this the wrong room? Where's Lawin? Where's everyone else? Oh shit, I effed up bad. As he's just there in this panic state of a completely destroyed room at the oath, and only has an inkling of what this could potentially mean when dealing with the oath itself.
Yeah. as we see a panel underneath that of the wall of the building closing, healing itself. And then, next panel, Lawin, you're in Paradise City Cemetery. Standing across from you is Becca Stone, and a man who finally pulls off the mask. And underneath the mask is a face that gives you pause. It is the face of a now quite young Ken Nakamura, the Green Ronin. But instead of the old man, he looks to be in his mid-20s. Describe the panel of the reaction.
I think it's. I guess how much of the plot do you think that Lawin has sort of pulled together at this point? Should I roll a check for this?
Yeah, let's have it.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I'll use my last luck. I want to see how high.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we'll have to go with the 18.
Yeah, we'll go with the 18. You've got some of it, but you don't have all of it. So, what you have put together is, as the things are falling into place, Becca Stone, sister of Ezekiel Stone, part of the Stone family line, entirely mortal, part of a historic criminal empire, and completely hedged out of the family business by her brother. She has money, but she doesn't have the family money. And that's made her resentful. And she wants power. She's probably the person who hired Safe and Sound all those months ago. Probably to get a hold of all that tech, but things went wrong because, it's this city. And she's been trying to figure out a way to make this city that her brother practically owns obey her will, obey her whims, and making the best of a bad situation and calling in every single favor and making every single deal with any and all entities that'll give her the time of day. And now she has her hands on the book she needs to start enacting her will, possibly not just on Paradise City, but very well the world. And she has done amazing and terrible things to do this.
Okay. So, I think Lawin's eyes are just going to narrow. And, he's going to he's going to use his power. It's going to flash light, and he'll go back to his normal uniform. And he's just going to say, well, things have just gotten a little more complicated. And he's just going to assume a battle stance. But I feel like something else has got to happen here. I feel like he's going to get taken out of the equation right now.
At this moment, as soon as you assume the battle stance, soon as muscle memory hits and Lawin starting to charge up gets grounded, we see a few things. One, we see both Becca and Ken Nakamura, the Green Ronin's eyes, glow the same color. And Paradise City's possibly greatest hero of the last generation, now young, renewed, invigorated, moves with the same legendary grace and speed he was known for. And just as Lawin gets set, there is a green flash, and the sword is drawn. Lawin's unconscious on the ground. Not dead, not bleeding, just with one blow, knocked unconscious. And then we have one last panel, which is just Becca with those same eyes, and the Green Ronin with those same eyes, cackling in unison. And that, my friends, is this issue of Paradise City Stories. I have been your humble editor, Pope, and this has been an absolute delight. But before we get to the last business, I want you to find out where you can find these amazing people and what they're up to. So, Mr. Smith, how are you doing, friend? Where can we find you?
Oh, this was such a good story. I am Mr. Smith. You can find me on the usual Twitterverse at Mr_Smith. I will also be playing this evening on our sister channel, Penny for a Tale, where you can find me playing Rune Ravenswood, the fateful wizard of the Unforgotten. If you enjoy some shenaniganery and watching players make poor life choices for their characters, please come by and give us a watch as we purposely make incorrect decisions just for the views, to be completely honest. Drama means everything. So come give us a watch as we take on Agi in the Shadow War, and we attempt to destroy a section of the Shadow Plane. Yeah, it should be fun. But thank you, Pope. It's been so good. Thank you so much for this session. This is awesome.
Well, thank you. Another person I must absolutely thank, Anino, friend. How are you doing, and where can we find you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again today. My name's Anino. You can find me on Twitter at Anino4K. There's been a lot of new things coming up production-wise, new projects that are just coming to light, so feel free to give me a follow there. You'll find links to all the other things that I'm working on.
Excellent. And looking forward to all those new projects on the horizon. As for myself, I have been your humble editor, Pope World Build on Twitter, Pope World Build on Twitch. I look at all your streams. If you want to see more of my silly face, you get a number of opportunities throughout the week. Coming up next is Monday, here, Weave the Tale, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, for Aliens, Paradisio Lost. It's getting really spicy. Things are kicking off. There has been a shooting at the colony, and there are creatures in the Hab block. So all hell is about to break loose. Tune in for that. And then Wednesday over on Follow Black Cats, you can see me play someone completely different, an absolute violent, controlled madman in the spy game Hexcrawl. So if you love your sort of international Born Identity style action, definitely tune in for that. And then we're back here on Sunday for more Paradise City stories. Thank you all for tuning in, or live, VOD, YouTube, wherever you are. A story is nothing without an audience, so you're as much a part of this as we are. Thank you all so much. Now, before I send you all off to have a wonderful day, I have a responsibility to talk about charity. And that charity in particular is Extra Life. It does so much for kids in hospitals, as well as having expanded to shelters for families. So, if you're looking this holiday season to do some good, stay tuned with us. We're going to be going and raiding Desert Bus for Hope, a annual Extra Life charity. Well, I should say Child's Play charity. That's what I meant to say. Child's Play. Child's Play charity. They do this. This is their 14th year, the 15th anniversary, the 15th Desert Bus. And we're going to be heading over there, and they're playing the world's worst game, Desert Bus. It was supposed to be on a Penn and Teller video game, of all things, where they have to drive a bus from Las Vegas to Tucson in real time, and the bus just veers ever so slightly to the left, so it can crash. So that is what they're playing, and while doing this mind-numbingly infuriating game, they do tons of stuff. They are a variety stream extraordinaire, and they got tons of guests, giveaways, silent auctions. So I hope that you stick around and join us. And this is something that they're going to be doing all week long. So if you are catching this on the VOD, tune in there as well. And with that, take care, everyone. See you soon.